Hello and welcome to 5 at 5. I missed about 2, 3 days, right? I was traveling and Gargi was leading the show with some of my colleagues. Today, when we were conceptualizing the show, we were thinking that after Virat Kohli's batting yesterday, I mean, the kind of joy that we all see, when Virat bats and the way he batted, I thought we'll do a show on that. We'll do a show. I've actually done a column on why do we watch sport. We watch sport ultimately we watch sport for the joy of it. We watch sport, we consume sport, we watch for the joy of sport. That Virat, the moment he came, first 5 balls, the eight runs, and then immediately the momentum shifts. Shubman starts batting well, India bats well, Virat 93. Yes, he did not get 100, but nonetheless, I mean, 14,500 runs could break Sachin's 18,000 run record if he continues in this vein in the next 2 to 3 years. This is one format, his format of choice, where he has never lost form. So we will talk about Virat Kohli 2.0. I mean, Virat Kohli, the genius in this format, that we'll actually talk about the joy of watching sport, the emotion of watching sport, and try and deconstruct or decode the way Virat was batting yesterday and all of that. Having said that, just about an hour back, and I mean, we get to know, and I've listened to the audio, by the way. It's in Bangla. I've listened to the audio where the Bangladesh sports advisor has come on record and speaking to the Bangladesh media has said a few things. I will talk about Virat, but in a bit. Let me first get to the hard news. The Bangladesh sports advisor, in an interaction with the Bangladesh media in Bangla, and by the way, I am not saying any of these things. I'm merely translating, and I'm putting it on record. I'm putting it on record. I'm merely translating what the Bangladesh the sports advisor to the government has said, and I'm merely translating it for you. He has said it in Bangla that number one, Bangladesh has received a letter. Bangladesh has received a letter from Bangladesh has received a letter from the ICC security team. Number one. Secondly, he goes on to say that in that letter, it is mentioned that they have received a letter from the ICC security team, and in that letter, it is mentioned, and it's quite bizarre. I mean, I'm quite taken aback by what he's kind of saying, right? He's saying in that letter, it mentions that if Bangladesh includes Mustafizur Rahman in the team, yes, you're hearing me right. I mean, this is the security advisor of a government. He's saying this, that if Bangladesh includes Mustafizur Rahman in the team, then there could be a problem in India. Number two, he says that if Bangladesh fans wear Bangladesh supporters' jerseys and they are watching the games in supporters' jerseys, then there is a problem. Number three, he also goes on to say that that you know number three, he goes on to say that the national elections of the country, the more close the national elections come, it will become a problem for the Bangladesh team. I mean, I find this, in all honesty, I find this bizarre. He claims a letter has been sent by the ICC security team. A senior Bangladesh journalist, Borshon Kobir, has just posted on Facebook saying, why is it that the BCB has not put the letter out in the public domain, or has the BCB actually received the letter? Then why is it that no one knows about it? What I find very strange here, and I'm putting it on record, ICC will say, and by the way, then this man in the second part of that interaction becomes rather aggressive, passionate, you can call it nationalistic, and he says in Bangla, আমরা আমাদের শ্রেষ্ঠ বোলারকে ছাড়া টিম করব না, meaning we will not leave out our best bowler and make a cricket team. Thereafter he goes on to say আমরা আমাদের জাতীয় ইলেকশন, অর্থাৎ we will not push back our national election because of this matter. And thirdly, he goes on to say that how is it that anyone else can dictate or decide what Bangladesh fans will wear, whether or not they will wear Bangladesh jerseys or something like that. How is it that anybody else can decide on our behalf? Now, it is a very fair point that when you think of it, how can anyone say to anyone, you include this player or that player? Suppose anybody tells India that don't include Abhishek Sharma or Jasprit Bumrah in the team, or someone tells Australia don't include Travis Head in the team. I honestly don't believe any international sports body or any governing body of sport can say this. I don't believe this. I really want to understand this letter and see this letter and read this letter for myself. That the ICC security team is advising, a participating country or a member nation that don't include Mustafizur Rahman in the team, or if you include Mustafizur Rahman, there could be problems. So you're actually saying that. The man claims that there is such a letter. Now, if there is such a letter, can that letter be please put out in the public domain? Because this is fascinating to hear that such a letter actually exists, and yet, uh, it is not yet in the public domain. He knows about it. The BCB has not said anything. Secondly, what he is claiming is fascinating, that the ICC's security team is actually commenting about national elections in Bangladesh. The ICC security team will comment about national elections in Bangladesh. Bizarre. I mean, why would ICC, in all honesty, even want to comment on the national elections in Bangladesh is not something that I am even able to understand. I'm not able to understand this at all. You mean to say that the International Cricket Council, which is a governing body of world sport, has written a letter where they are talking about the national elections of a particular country? Right? And then you go on to say that the ICC security team is advising fans not to wear a national jersey. Clearly, there is something that is not matching here. I'm absolutely not in a position to even understand what is being said. In my 30 years of covering international sport, I have not heard anything as bizarre as perhaps this one. That the sports, and then he goes on to say that, based on this, how can we send our cricket team to India? And in a very towards the very end of the interaction, the audio clip that I have is of 3 minutes 16 seconds. 3 minutes 16 seconds. Towards the very end, when he is asked by some of the media that what about Kerala, what about other Chennai, he says, no, we have said that we will not play in India. Kerala and Chennai are also part of India. And he says we are okay with playing in Sri Lanka. Then he puts in a sentence that, oh, I've also heard that Pakistan has said that they want to host our matches. We have no problems in playing in Pakistan. He adds that line. He actually adds that line where he says, and then he says, also in the United Arab Emirates, we have no problem. So first he mentions Sri Lanka, then he goes on to mention Pakistan very briefly, about 15 seconds, 10 seconds, where he says, I've heard, quote, I've heard, I've heard that Pakistan has volunteered to host our games. We've got no problems playing in Pakistan. Then he says, like in the United Arab Emirates also, we've got no problems in playing in the UAE. Now, this is where the thing becomes absolutely confusing for me. So, a security letter by the ICC reaches the BCB or should reach the BCB before even the BCB president or anybody from the BCB putting it out in the public domain. The security advisor Asif Nazrul claims that there is such a letter, claims that there is that letter based on which I just told you what he's saying. The BCB hasn't even reacted to it. They haven't put out the letter in the public domain. They haven't put out any statement saying that the ICC has responded to their letter. Nothing like that. Let me now tell you what Bangladesh stands to lose. There are some questions. I will take questions. Don't worry. You know, 1 second. Here it is. Where is this? This is all facts. So, Bangladesh, if they forfeit their matches, the BCB will not only lose the prize money and the appearance fee, but they will also lose a share of the ICC's revenue in the current cycle. The revenue share has a participation clause, and you must know this. BCB's current revenue share from the central pool is 4.46%, which is $26.7 million annually. So that's what Bangladesh gets from the ICC. $26.7 million, 4.46% of the central pool is what Bangladesh gets. If they forfeit their matches, the BCB will not only lose the appearance fee and prize money, but they will also lose a chunk of this share because this includes a participation clause. The revenue share has a participation clause. This is what they stand to lose. Now let me also put in front of you some facts. If there is such a security issue, Sharafuddollah is very much in India and officiating in the India versus New Zealand series. Did the Bangladesh government and the sports advisor even remotely think that here is a Bangladeshi umpire who is very much in India? There is another umpire who has been appointed by the ICC for the T20 World Cup. They have been appointed. And this guy was very much in the ground yesterday for the India-New Zealand game in Vadodara, officiating as the TV umpire. So Sharafuddaullah's presence, where is the security threat there? He is a Bangladeshi as much. Let me also give you a little bit more. Suppose they decide to forfeit. Do you think, at least I do, it will be a financial apocalypse for the BCB? With this money, the main chunk of Bangladesh's money, $26.7 million annually. Now, translated into Bangladesh money, you will see the volume is a significant amount of money. That is what Bangladesh gets. Suppose a portion of that money goes away or a major chunk goes away by forfeiture. How big a financial burden could that be for the BCB is something that has to wait and find out. Asif Nazrul also says in that clip, and he was very passionate, saying this ICC letter, and he's repeatedly said that, conclusively proves how India is a land of fundamentalism and radicalism and has been going on for the last 16 months. Exactly, he uses the word last 16 months. He uses the word Bangladesh Biddesh, which means opposition or rather hatred for Bangladesh. That's the exact translation. Bangladesh Biddesh is hatred for Bangladesh. Now, what have we heard? What we have heard is without any valid security reasons, I don't think the ICC will remotely entertain Bangladesh's plea. And if this is what is being said, that the ICC has sent a letter urging BCB not to include Mustafizur Rahman, and this man says they are actually trying to tell us not to include our best bowler. The letter apparently talks about the national election of the country. He goes on to say, how can you expect us to push the national election back based on this? And then he accuses the ICC of being an Indian puppet. And he says, ICC jodi, in Bangla, ICC jodi Bharoter kothay othe ar boshe, as in they will listen to everything by India. That's the literal translation. Then if they are not a puppet in the hands of India, they will move the games to a different country, i.e. Sri Lanka. This is the whole set in front of you. Yes, Amir, I would have done Virat and I will do Virat slightly later. But this is hard news which has come out from Bangladesh in the last 1 hour or so. Now let me read out to you what Borshan Kobir, a senior television journalist, or rather a senior journalist in Bangladesh, is writing in his Facebook post. This is by Borshan Kobir, 38 minutes back. Borshan writes, আমি আইসিসি সিকিউরিটি টিমের চিঠিটা দেখতে চাই। ট্রান্সলেশন, হি ওয়ান্টস টু রিড দ্যাট লেটার। আইসিসি এক দেশের রাজনীতি ও নির্বাচন নিয়ে কথা বলার দুঃসাহস এই প্রথমবার দেখাচ্ছে। হি গোজ অন টু সে, আইসিসি ইজ শোয়িং this level of temerity or audacity to comment on the election of a sovereign country. And then he goes on to say, ক্রীড়া উপদেষ্টা, স্পোর্টস অ্যাডভাইজার নিশ্চয়ই নিজে পড়ে এই না খেলতে যাওয়ার ব্যাপারে জানিয়েছেন। The man in question, Asif Nazrul, must have read the letter and given his opinion. স্বাধীন দেশের নাগরিকদের, and he goes on to say, we as independent citizens of Bangladesh, we need to see this letter, so put the letter out in the public domain. And then he says he's very surprised. He's very surprised that why is it that the letter hasn't reached the BCB. That's the final line. Naki power por tara eta edine, or then the final line he says is, if the BCB had got it, why is it that they did not put this letter out and they had kept it under wraps and were they waiting for today or this particular day. Now, I find this entire situation completely bizarre. A sovereign country's sports advisor claiming interference by the ICC security team in team assembling and team formation, claiming ICC interference in the scheduling of national elections of a sovereign country, claiming that the Bangladesh fans, if they wear their team jersey, they will find it problematic and will face violence in a participating country, and then claiming that he's okay with even playing it in Pakistan. This is the most outrageous kind of observations that I have heard. Let me take some questions. And then I will go back to it again. Okay, who is writing what? So I guess Shogato 91. Bangladesh interim government doesn't want Bangladesh team to be a part of the World Cup. Fair point, Shogato. From the utterances, it is quite apparent that from the utterances of Asif Nazrul, it is pretty much apparent that they will not play in India. Whether or not they want to play the World Cup or not, we will see once the ICC pronounces its judgment on the matter. Viraj More, sounds like a bluff. Viraj, I didn't say it, you did. All I am doing is smiling at your comment. Abhishek Ranjan, the people of Bangladesh have gone down the path of false nationalism if they do not agree to play the World Cup in India. What will the ICC do? Will Bangla be out or will their matches be shifted? Exactly the question that all of us are asking, Abhishek. And I've given you the financial scenario as well. That if the ICC if Bangladesh doesn't play the matches in India, if Bangladesh doesn't play the matches in India, there is a forfeiture clause. And according to that forfeiture clause, Bangladesh could stand to lose a sizable chunk of the $26 or $27 million of revenue, 4.46% that they get from the ICC central pool. Okay. Absolutely, Shogato again, pathetic on Bangladesh part to malign ICC World Cup like this. This is bizarre. It is. I am not saying malign, you are. Indian supporter. This Nazrul guy clearly knows Bangladesh fans would be outraged if Bangladesh skips World Cup. He's creating this false narrative. Is this a kind of an attempt to find out a face saver? Are they now finding themselves in a hole or a corner and they want to wiggle out of that hole with some kind of an aggressive nationalist jingoistic statement, or are they trying to figure out a face saver of sort? These are important questions, Indian supporter, and you have actually asked a couple of very important points here, or raised a couple of very important points here. Shudip Sengupta, বাংলাদেশের মাথা খারাপ হয়ে গেছে, মেন্টাল হসপিটালে নিয়ে যাওয়া হোক, আপনি একটু জানান আইএসএল এ একটা টিম খেলবে বলে জানিয়েছে ওড়িশা. So he basically says that Bangladesh people have lost or this man particularly has lost their mind, and he says that they should be, there should be mental counseling. He asks me about an ISL question about Odisha FC, and yes, Shudip Sengupta, I can confirm to you that Odisha FC has actually confirmed participation in the ISL. By the way, I was with Mansukh Mandavia on Saturday in Delhi with Kalyan Chaube at the FIFA program, and I had managed to ask them about ISL, and both of them had told me that the ISL will certainly go ahead from the middle of February. The sports ministry is committed to it. The All India Football Federation is committed to it, and they were expecting and hoping all of the clubs will consent. Odisha FC's consent has come, which actually is one of the clubs which had said that they wanted time. Now, after the consent from Odisha FC, Shudip, it could well be that all of the clubs agree to play the ISL. There are a lot of questions, more questions. Let me take some more, and then I will go back to my narrative. Okay. Any replies? Virat Kohli 2.0 back Boria, Amir Ansari. I'll come back to that. Any reply from ICC regarding this letter? Which letter, Simon? Which letter? This is an audio press interaction of Asif Nazrul in Bangladesh, which the Bangladesh media has put out. So after the BCB letter, I don't think there has been any further correspondence. If there is, we will let you know. But what I'm talking about is the sports advisor coming out in the public domain with the Bangladesh media. Riro, so glad to see rise in sponsorship, viewership, and quality of WPL. In years to come, will be second most valued league globally. Rev Sports, pioneers in women cricket journalism. Kudos. Thank you very, very much. Not, I'm, you have given us credit. Don't say women's cricket journalism or men's cricket journalism. Say sports journalism. Whether it is under 19, whether it is chess, whether it is boxing, whether it is hockey, whether it is badminton in Delhi, whether it is Hockey India League in Chennai, our focus will be and is on multi-sport in the purest of form. So all sport. In fact, today, unfortunately, because of a minor issue, Gargi couldn't make the press conference. There was her car got a dent kind of thing. There was a small this thing, which is why we were a little disappointed that unfortunately we had to miss that press conference. But we assure you that there will be reporters and representatives in every sports event from Rev Sports. So while I appreciate the comment, it will be, I would love it if you say sports journalism as a whole. Abhishek Ranjan, I've taken your comment. Shogato, I've taken yours. Priyanshu. Buriada, Bangladesh have cited security issues, so their matches can't be shifted, because then what image will India have? It would be good for hosting upcoming global major events. Look, there has to be a proper analysis of a security threat and evidential proof that there is a security problem. Was there a travel or a security advisory before? The presence of a Bangladesh umpire on Indian soil for the ongoing India-New Zealand series, Priyanshu, is clear testament that there is no such problem. In fact, Asif Nazrul's point, and if you see the way he is raising the pitch, that it's now the ICC security team which is kind of reasserting their points. The ICC team has said no Mustafizur. The ICC team has said, oh, you know what, no jerseys for Bangladesh fans. The ICC team has said, oh, you know what, the political elections in your country could be an issue. So this is all trying to drum up a situation where you have to figure out some form of a face saver. You know what? And that's the kind of thing. Uh, you know that's the kind of thing that I'm seeing. So for India, they are steadfast. I don't think New Zealand series is going on. Before the New Zealand series, South Africa was in India. The Hockey Premier League is going on, where players from multiple different countries are playing in Ranchi, in Jharkhand, in Chennai, in different parts of India. The badminton Super 750 is going on in Delhi from tomorrow. The press conference was today. Players from at least 40-50 participating countries are in India. So let me put that on record. 40-50 participating countries are in India for the Indian Open Super 750. So the point that Mr. Nazrul is talking about, he needs to substantiate where the issue is. And he also needs to tell us, why is Sharafuddollah not stopped from coming into a hostile country where there is a security threat? Or did it actually not even occur to Mr. Nazrul that this guy is actually going? And he was far busy playing his political games. Is that the case? So we need to know that. Will the ICC respond to such political, how do I put it, jingo mongering? I don't see ICC buying this bluff at all. I don't see ICC falling prey to this at all. If after this kind of happens, I will be very, very surprised. I'm trying to keep the show as factual as possible without taking opinions, but you can understand that I am as stunned as most of you are. Most of you are by this press conference that I've just heard from Asif Nazrul. Abhishek Ranjan, Ayush Badoni is a good replacement, or Shabaz? Shabaz would not be like for like. Ayush Badoni has improved as a off spinner. I would have wanted to see Riyan Parag had he been fit. I would have definitely wanted to see Riyan Parag had he been fit. Uh, Idara Kartik, Bangladesh doing Pakistan things. Interesting. Uh, Tanush Kotian asks Gargi Raut, not as good with the bat as maybe a Washington Sundar or possibly an Ayush Badoni. Uh, at Ayush Badoni at 8, with the bat, maybe not. Tanush Kotian, not as good with the bat is my first answer. Are you looking for more an all-round option, or an all-rounder or an off-spinner who can bat? Then Tanush Kotian fits that bill. Washi is certainly a better batter. Rian would have fit in this bill quite well as a batter and as a bowler who could have given you 5 overs. Sadly for him, he's not ready, he's injured. So that's where Ayush Madoni kind of comes in. Uh, is he the best choice? I'm trying to figure out and understand where this choice came from. Tanush Kotian says Gargi. Riyan Parag would have been my choice, like I said. Anybody else? Shahbaz is not a like for like left arm. So that's where this matter is. Bangladesh kind of things. Pakistan, Idara Kartik. Let me say it this way. Bangladesh, one expects better from the sports advisor. I would have said the letter needed to be made public by the BCB. The comments, the first reaction should have come from Aminul Islam Bulbul and not from this gentleman. The BCB keeping mum where he does a press conference and says, oh, this letter has come from the ICC security team for the BCB, looks very odd. And some of the points that he mentions are as bizarre as anything I have heard. Sabyasachi Basu, they are already in a hole. Bangladesh cricket could come to an end if this happens. We'll go against ICC instead. Yeah, Shobhashachi, you are kind of right in the sense, the $27 million revenue that Bangladesh gets from the ICC central pool, which is about 5%, 4.5%. That's a lot of money for Bangladesh cricket. $27 million at this point in time is a huge amount of money. The exchange rate, if you check, and all of that, huge amount of money. If Bangladesh Cricket Board takes that kind of a hit, 27 million US dollars, obviously a part of that, if they fall, because there is a participation clause, even if they lose 10, 25, 30% of it, that will be a nail, a killer blow for Bangladesh cricket. So I agree with you, Shobhashachi Basu. Rumor says Chennai and Visakhapatnam are looked on as an alternate for BCB. Abhishek Chaudhary. He was asked that question, Abhishek. He was asked that question by his own media, saying Chennai and Thiruvananthapuram, not Visakhapatnam. Thiruvananthapuram and Chennai are being looked at, and he dismissed it. He dismissed it, saying in clear-cut terms that in Bangla, he says, Amra Bharoter kotha bolchi, Chennai and Thiruvananthapuram are also part of India. We are talking about India as a whole. We are not talking about Calcutta or Kolkata per se. That's when he goes on to say, do it in Sri Lanka. Pakistan has also said, he says, I've heard that Pakistan has said that they want to host, do it in Pakistan. So he has no problems in playing in Pakistan. And that's something that is very, very interesting to observe and listen to, that Asif Nazrul has zero problems in playing in Pakistan. Pakistan is not even the host. Sri Lanka, I can understand. And he also goes on to say, I've got no problems in playing in the UAE. He thinks the International Cricket Council and the tournament it organizes is a bit of a joke. That Bangladesh will go play in Pakistan, they will go and play in the United Arab Emirates, while the tournament is being organized by India and Sri Lanka. So I've taken that. Abhishek Ranjan, I've taken that. Abhishek Chaudhary, Amir Boria, सच बोलो प्लीज. किसका सच भाई आमिर? कौन सा सच? सवाल पूछ लो, सच बता देते हैं. सच छोड़ के आपको कुछ बताता ही नहीं है, आप खाली बोलो मोमेंटम है कि नहीं. What was your word? Gargi, what was the word that this guy used to use? The thanda hai, something like that. I've forgotten the exact word. Aryan Paul, is there any way possible to implement WTC cycle wise regime in ODI cricket to bring back the excitement? Maybe not. Maybe not. So you're actually saying WTC kind of scheduling of bilateral series. Interesting idea that it will keep going on and on, but then there will be no sort of final. How do you want to play between two countries a 5-match bilateral as a final? Interesting idea, but I don't think one immediately has any reasons to think like that, because Even the last World Cup, the 2023 World Cup on Indian soil, was a massive hit. Massive. If you think of the games, 19th November was massive in Ahmedabad. The India Pakistan or the India Australia was absolutely brilliant. And if Virat and Rohit now play on, which is very, very likely they will, in South Africa, I think it will be one of the biggest 50 over tournaments of all time, because the kind of interest that these two will kind of evoke among fans will be like no other. Abhishek, rumor says, Chad, I've answered that. Aryan Paul, I've answered that. Uh, Buryada, your views on Neeraj parting with Jan Zelezny. Interesting. He will now train with his first coach, Jaivir Chaudhary, who is a friend of Neeraj. I know Jaivir well. Jaivir was the one who gave Neeraj the javelin for the first time in his life. So he wants to find a comfort zone. Could have been a technical issue with Jan, could have peaked early. A lot of news floating around. Neeraj is training in South Africa. One has to wait for a period to understand the impact and implications. But knowing Neeraj, he will not take a hasty call or a call this is not prudent or well thought through. I having known Neeraj well, by the way, we were interacting about 2 days back, 3 days back. I can tell you this much, that he's one of the most sensible, one of the most rational, and one of the most, prudent, well thinking ahead kind of guy who will not take a false call or take a hasty call and part with anyone. সুদীপ, এটা একটু জানান, আইএসএল একটা টিম কোথায় খেলবে বলে জানিয়েছে। কটা টিম কোথায়? ওড়িশা ও এফসি। আমি তো বললাম সুদীপ আপনাকে, ওড়িশা এফসি অংশগ্রহণ করবে, কনফার্মড। ওড়িশা এফসি হ্যাজ কনফার্মড that it will participate in the ISL. Where the ISL will be held, in what format will be held, it is not decided yet. The clubs will. As I said, the AIFF is very clear, the sports ministry is very clear. From the middle of February, the tournament will happen. Odisha has in fact confirmed their participation. That is also true. In what format and where exactly will it happen, that has not been decided yet. Boryada, Rinku Singh is an ideal choice for Washington Sundar. You can absolutely try out Rinku Singh, but bowling wise, is he as good or remotely as good? I know he's done a bit of it and can be used as a part-timer, but not as half as close in terms of bowling prowess compared to Washington Sundar. But if you want to try out Rinku Singh as a middle order bat, absolutely you can. Subhrajyoti Mitro. Why not Shahbaz Ahmed from Bengal? Shahbaz left arm. Tomar kache already you have Ravindra Jadeja. If you want to go down the Shahbaz route, you can easily go down Akshar Patel, who is part of your T20 setup as vice captain. So why not Akshar Patel ahead of Shahbaz first? So you've got to think along those lines before jumping conspiracy. I still think ahead of Prasidh Krishna, we should have tried out Mohammad Shami. Yesterday, I will give you one ball. Prasidh Krishna was bowling. First ball was a 4, second ball was a 6. Third ball, let me give you another one actually. So Prasidh Krishna, when Kyle Jamieson was on strike, and Prasidh called the mid-on in. He called the mid-on in and he pushed the third man back. All fine. Kyle Jamieson had just come out. Some balls into his innings had come out to bat. So he pushed the mid-on in, or got it in, and pushed the third man back. Next ball, you expect he bowls on Kyle Jamieson's pads, and all he does is just kind of a push through mid-on, next to mid-on for a boundary. And I watched that ball and I was like, exactly what this man did. Got the fielder in, bowled on his legs for a boundary. I would suggest, yes, he got his 2 wickets, including that of Daryl Mitchell. I still believe, and I've written this today in my column, that I still believe Mohammad Shami deserved an opportunity. The selectors could have tried him out. I understand World Cup is 2027 and all of that, but I still think the selectors could have tried Mohammad Shami out as a possibility to see where he stands in 50 over cricket. He has played consistent cricket from Bengal and deserved a chance, according to me. Rian Parag is injured, Buryada. Precisely what I said, Abhishek Ranjan, that my pick would have been Rian Parag. But unfortunately he's injured, and that's what I said when I was explaining the point. Who's this? Boria sir, Washington Sundar, Abhishek Chaudhary. Boria sir, Washington Sundar and Tilak Verma 100% fit for the last 2 T20 series, T20 World Cup. If not, who will be taken? I do think Tilak Verma will get ready, because otherwise the BCCI would have called up someone. They've said 3 matches, add a 2, maybe 2 more. But from what I understand, at the end of 10 days since the operation, which will be another 4-5 days, Tilak will start his skill training. By the end of the month, Tilak should be very much ready for the T20 World Cup. You should get him back for India's one-off warm-up game against South Africa in Navi Mumbai on the 4th of February. And I think Tilak Varma will be ready. Washington Sundar, initially it was told that it's a side strain, then it was a back sprain. If it's a back sprain, shouldn't take too long, or maybe not as much. Let's put it that way. Should not take as much as a side strain. Side strain would have meant 6 weeks, and World Cup would have been gone. But I do believe both of them have a Tilak definitely will have a chance of making it back. If Tilak doesn't make it, my choice would have been Shreyas Iyer. Yesterday, also the way Shreyas Iyer was batting, he looked fluent, he looked good, he looked decent, he looked in real sublime touch. That shot tuck over the slips or the straight shot. This, Shreyas Iyer was looking really, really good according to me. If Tilak Varma eventually fails to make it, my choice would be Shreyas Iyer. There are many left-handers already in the Indian mix, so that is not a problem. There will be no monotony. There is an Abhishek Sharma, there is an Akshar Patel, so there are multiple left-handers in that mix. Washington Sundar, there are multiple left-handers in that mix. So if you get a right-hand option in, I don't see that as a problem. Riyan Parag, we've discussed Riyan Parag. বাংলাদেশ কোথায় খেলবে আকাশ চন্দ্র দে আকাশ এটা নিয়েই তো এতক্ষণ ধরে আলোচনা হচ্ছে we have been talking precisely about this that where will Bangladesh play, what has Asif Nazrul said, what will the ICC react, when will the decision come. But you know what, if the ICC needed to shift the games, uh, you know so I don't see if the ICC had to shift the games. And today also I was checking, tickets are still being sold. If this matter has now been dragging on for close to this matter has been dragging on for close to about 10 days. If the matter had to happen, it would have been very interesting. It would have been, it is interesting that anyway, let me take few more questions. In our work group, people are asking about the press conference with our badminton stars and why athletes are asked bizarre questions. That's an unfortunate reality in India. Shayanton, can the triangular ODI series bring more charm? Yes, that's a good point. Shayanton at least would have given more context had it been devoid of Virat and Rohit. Imagine what this series would have been like. We are all watching yesterday. Also, everybody watched because Virat was batting so beautifully. Rohit's that six, and the way Rohit started, each one of us were glued, and Shubman Gill obviously. But when you think of the larger macro picture and the macro context, you kind of understand that this series is devoid of context. So I kind of buy your thing. Boryada, Kohli should be back in red ball cricket. Shambhunath Banerjee, no, I don't think that's going to happen. And don't go by ODI form, because ODI, that outside off stump problem is masked. When he's playing that shot, it goes for a one. When 3-4 slips are standing there, it's a different ball game. Virat Kohli never lost form in ODI cricket. He's the genius of ODI cricket, the king of ODI cricket. Come to Test cricket, the second lease of life did not happen. And that's because in red ball, he figured he could not figure out that outside off stump problem. I don't see Virat Kohli making a red ball comeback at all. I think he will certainly play the 2027. Otherwise, he would not have continued and played this series. And he does deserve to play 2027. Look at his fitness, look at his class, look at his the way he batted yesterday. It was just a dream to watch him. It was just so much joy, so much passion to watch him. The way he was running his singles, he was enjoying while batting. The shots he was playing, the sweeps, the straight shots, the inside out, the sixes. It was absolutely brilliant. Virat Kohli's batting, the charm of watching Virat Kohli, as I said at the start of the show, was brilliant. Do you think England paid the price of not developing a world-class spinner? I do think they should have gone with Shoaib Bashir in the squad ahead of Will Jacks. They went with Will Jacks once again to give themselves that batting option. Shoaib Bashir was in the squad, and I don't think Shoaib Bashir is a bad spinner. Nathan Lyon kind of spinner, a classical offie. They could have gone with Shoaib instead of Will Jacks. They did not. Why India can't develop fast bowling all-rounder? Fast bowling all-rounder is the most rare commodity in the world. A Ben Stokes, a Hardik Pandya, Cameron Green, and that's about it. You don't have that kind of species. Otherwise, you would have seen fast bowling all-rounders by the dime and the dozen. You're trying with a Nitish Kumar Reddy, you're trying with a Shivam Dubey, but the quality of Hardik Pandya is absolutely fantastic. Muriada, who will cover Rajkot? Shomik has already reached Rajkot report. Shomik was the one who was in Vadodara. He has reached Rajkot or will reach Rajkot in the next hour. So it is Shomik Chakraborty Ripon who will be covering the Rajkot ODI. You will see all his reports start to get filed from early tomorrow morning. In fact, tonight it's his travel day, so he'll take a bit of a break. But from tomorrow morning, you will see all his reports. ICC will re-implement the ODI Super League after the 27 ODI. Yes, then, but not in this cycle. And one has to then also see how that kind of shapes up. We don't know yet exactly in what shape or form how things will be. But the 2027 World Cup, I have absolutely zero doubt in my mind, freaking awesome, will be one of the biggest cricket tournaments because every possible Indian fan, and South African stadiums aren't Australian stadiums, they are relatively smaller. So 25,000, 30,000 kind of capacity. Imagine Indian diaspora from across the world trooping into South Africa to watch Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma last dance, one final roar for one final time. It would be absolutely sensational to see these two fellows play that 2027 World Cup. Prediction for the T20 series, I think India will win. I have said this, India is a gun T20 side, brilliant T20 side. Only if it's an aberration will India lose. If it's a one-off game, I still say in a T20 match, you can say that the opponent has the ability to beat you. But if it's a series, any team in the world on current form, current circumstances, I don't think any team can beat India. India is the best T20 side in the world in a series form. In a one-off World Cup match, there is always that element of uncertainty because in a knockout game, two great performances, a Travis Head or a Aiden Markram or that kind of guy, or even from England, a match can go away from you. But in a series format, I don't think any team can beat India. Will Reddy play? I think Nitish Reddy will play Abhishek Ranjan unless Gautam Gambhir wants something else. I do think Nitish Kumar Reddy could be slotted in. I think that's where I will end the show. But my surprise at what I've heard from Asif Nazrul, my kind of how do I put it, the ridiculousness of the situation. I've tried to understand, reason out, rationalize. I've not been able to do that. I've absolutely not been able to do that. For me, I don't believe that an international cricket council will meddle in a country's political scenario and elections. I don't believe an international cricket council will ever meddle in a team selection scenario or will ask fans not to wear a national jersey. I don't believe this. If the ICC has sent a letter like that, who has sent the letter? What is the communication? If that is put out in the public domain, it will clarify a lot of doubts. I will come back. I will come back as and when I get more. So keep watching Rev Sports. Shomik Chakraborty in Rajkot, Rohit Juglan in Harare and Bulawayo for the under 19 World Cup. Gargi Raut in Delhi along with Abhishek Mishra for the Indian Open Badminton. Football news, Shomik Chakraborty, I told you, Devashish Sen and Rahul Giri on football news, and Atreo was on the chess beat. So all sports, Red Sports. Thank you very much for watching.